started.
Sorry about that.
This is why I started PLAEX Building Systems. My name is Dustin Bowers, and thank you so much for the great introduction. I've got over 20 years in the construction industry, everything from residential to light commercial, foundation to finish, and everything in between. And today, I want to talk to you guys about circular economy and the future of the construction industry. Some of the things we'll be going over today is understanding the plastic problem and the current solutions. Some of the issues we're facing in the building industry, things like the less skilled labor, more waste and rising material costs, and some of the challenges we're facing moving forward, things like climate change, changing regulations, and the big movement towards automation. And then we'll talk about how we can build that better future with PLAEX. So we'll get into a bit of the plastic problem. I mean, many of you may know about the issues surrounding plastics. It's pretty prominent. It's talked about around the world. World leaders are meeting all the time to try and come up with some sort of solution to this major issue we've created for ourselves. Every year, we produce over 380 million tons of plastic. Only about 9% of that is recycled, and some pretty serious damning results coming from the recent study in the United States last year was only about 5% of plastics in the United States last year were recycled. Much of that is due to financial and energy costs, the contamination in it, and the types of plastics that are being used. But nonetheless, this is a huge issue, and our environment is suffering from this over 90% of material that is not being recycled. The existing solutions are just not sustainable. You know, there are many goodwill and well-intentioned recycling initiatives, things like plastic lumber or plastic trinkets like cell phone cases or coasters. These things just aren't scalable enough. Then there's a lot of companies trying to create post-consumer beads, but a lot of these have big issues like the quality and consistency and finding end markets. The big solutions that are being pushed right now are things like pyrolysis and incineration, but both of those still produce huge amounts of CO2, and things like pyrolysis just leads to it being burned again in the end anyways. Worst of all is the landfills and illegal dumping that continue to happen around the world. All of these have major issues that are way worse than CO2, things like polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, many different carcinogens, and the scalability of these solutions, things like pyrolysis and incineration, require minimum populations in order to get a facility up and going because of the high cost and overhead of running these facilities. So they're just not suitable to be able to reach the parts of the world that need them the most. Next, we'll talk about some of the issues in the building industry. The biggest one right now is the labor issue. Many of the older, more skilled generation are retiring. A lot of the best carpenters and best tradesmen, they've been in the industry for years, but over the last few years, we've seen them retire en masse, which has left a major gap in the labor market. In the United States, there's over 4 million construction job vacancies. This is a big problem. Many of the younger people today want tech jobs, something with a computer, something in an office, something that they can work from home or work remote. This has led to many trade schools shutting down or reducing their capacity. And this has led to a lack of skilled labor. As somebody who's come from the construction industry, I can tell you, much of it was essentially glorified babysitting. And then this unskilled labor, it always takes longer to complete projects. There are way more accidents, and the increase of waste is just not acceptable. On many of the projects that I dealt with out in the Vancouver area, the waste costs on a project were upwards of 30% on a project. That's better than most companies' margins. Imagine what we could do if we could reduce that amount of waste. And that leads us into the waste issue. Traditional building materials take up about half of all resources extracted globally. Half of everything we extract, the timber, the aggregates, the steel, half of everything goes into construction. And this produces about 2.2 billion tons of waste annually. And much of this is not recycled. At best, we're seeing maybe 48, 50% in some jurisdictions. Many areas around the world is little to none recycling happening with this construction waste. It's about a third of our world's overall waste production and about 40% of global CO2 emissions. This needs to change. And compounding all of this are the cost issues. Obviously, the pricing affects everything. And we've seen over the last couple of years, obviously, there's a steady increase in the cost of labor, which happens with all societies as we become more technologically sophisticated. People want better paying jobs to be able to keep up with the demands of our current market. And over the last couple of years, we saw huge fluctuations within the construction materials market to the point where it's almost become unsustainable. And we need to solve this. We need sustainable building materials that can work within our cost standards. Some of the big challenges that we're facing right now are things like climate change. The increased storms and extreme weather pose serious issues to traditional building structures, as we can see from the results of Hurricane Fiona and others that rip through the land and cause massive devastation. Our structures are just not designed to be able to take these increased demands of the weather. We need buildings that are more resilient, and we need more sustainable building materials. If we're going to build this better future, we need better ways to build for that better future. The second challenge is the regulations. Bringing new products to market always pose some challenges, one of which is definitely the regulatory market. But many of these areas are adopting new bylaws, things like deconstruction bylaws, like we've seen in Victoria, that mandate that a building cannot be demolished anymore. It must be taken apart piece by piece for its constituents so that as much of it as possible can be recycled. Many areas are also starting to put in requirements for recycled content and lowering the carbon footprint of these buildings. Is a national standard. We're pushing forward net zero by 2030, but this requires some really big innovations within the construction industry to be able to reach this, and a lot of collaboration across multiple industries to be able to get there. Also, one of the successful things that's driving this market and these changes are the increases in dump fees and fines, especially for mixed waste. And I agree with this. We need to make it costly to not take the time to separate those materials so they can be recycled. It is essential that we separate materials, that we recycle materials, that we make sure that we are efficient as we're building these structures. It is efficiency that will carry us through and get us to net zero. We need to reduce the waste in the construction industry, and fast. At the current rate, it is just unsustainable, and this planet will run out of resources before we run out of places to build. The next challenge is automation. This is something that's been going on for many years and has been talked about for a long time, but it's already here. Many of you may not realize the technologies that are being developed now. There are so many amazing new startups bringing automation technologies into the construction industry. Before I ended up getting into this, I was actually helping bring construction technology to the market through construction management software, which is just the first layer. But construction needs a big overhaul. With the shortage of labor, we need solutions that can be automated. The biggest roadblock at this point is the existing materials on the market. Many of these products require custom cuts, custom fits, and high dexterity in order to install them. They're just not designed to be able to work with automation. And we need more automation-friendly products in the construction industry. Things that we can automate so that the youth can do the things that they want to do, so that they can innovate and create and build these robots and build new apps and build new technology to take us out into space. If we're going to be sustainable, we need building systems that can be integrated with automation to move us forward to the net 30. Oh. And this is where PLAEX comes in. All of our products are fully interlocking, requiring no cuts. We're now taking orders for our Links products, which will be available in 2023. And all of our products offset CO2, which helps our clients meet those targets and be more sustainable. Not only are they offsetting carbon, but they're also more durable. And this is what we need moving forward. Our solutions are simple. We're turning that garbage into a resource. From our proprietary machinery, we're able to combine over 90% recycled materials into innovative, zero-cut, fully interlocking designs that are easy enough for kids to put together, but robust enough for the construction industry. We're taking marine plastic, industrial plastic, agricultural plastic, and construction waste, and we're combining them together into PLAEX. This material is absolutely amazing, and we're forming this into the first in the world brick and panel system and our amazing links product for landscaping. With the links, you can connect together at multiple angles without any cutting, creating beautiful geometric designs. Our products are great for things like flood walls, retaining walls, erosion control, flower beds, garden beds, walkway edging, and eventually full wall systems once we reach CSA certification in the next couple of years, with testing ongoing. Some of our initial results from lab testing have been absolutely fantastic. The water absorption is one huge thing that sets us apart from any of the other materials on the market. Our materials will not rot. They will not be subjected to the same freeze-thaw issues that traditional concrete and bricks have to deal with. And their density means that they're great for shoreline applications, and the compressive values of it are comparable to concrete. I would encourage you all to check out our website and our YouTube channel to see some of our video demonstrations of just how tough this material is. About a month ago, we had a cleanup event in Moncton, which is part of what we do as a sustainable, community-oriented company. We like to contribute to the communities that we're involved in. So we had a community cleanup project in Moncton, and we had a challenge for people. We had one of our prototype bricks on display there and a 10-pound sledgehammer. We offered $100 to anybody who could break it in half. We have a video of the efforts. Nobody was successful. Our competition also have a big cost issue. Many of these products are continuing to rise in price, with the price per square foot getting almost unattainable for many consumers now. Our products are simple, they're straightforward, they reduce the waste, which is a huge savings on the back end. And our products can be easily priced out because it's simple to know what you need to install. Unlike many other products on the market where, oh, we forgot we need this or we need that other thing, and the change orders pile on. With our products, it's straightforward. You see what you need, you get what you need, you assemble it, and it's done. Here's a little look at some of the costing around the traditional wall systems and how the PLAEX system compares against that. And this is why we stand out. We're low cost and eco-friendly. All of our products are over 90% recycled materials, initially saving contractors 15 to 35% on project costs, with upwards of 50% savings once we reach high volume scale. All of our products are patent pending. They're unique, simple, and intuitive. We have the first in the world brick and panel system that incorporates an interlocking structural core with a fully interlocking panel system that produces a fully finished wall. We are streamlining the entire building process, and all of our products are highly scalable and designed to be able to integrate with the future of autonomous construction. We have an absolutely amazing team and some even more amazing mentors with years and years of experience. Combined with everybody we're involved in, we stopped once we reached the 500 years of experience point. It was just phenomenal how much amazing experience we have at the table and how much support we've had. Our business model is unique. We're able to work on three different aspects. First of all, we're offering a solution to waste producers. If you run a big company that produces large volumes of plastic waste, get in touch with us and we can help you sustainably deal with that waste. We take a small fee, lower than your dumping fees, to process it, and we integrate that material into our end products with tracking so you can know exactly where those products end up. Next is our manufacturing and sales. We're in the process of setting up a pilot facility in the Dieppe area, which will be producing products for the local market. We're also developing our Builder CAD system so that you can design your projects in virtual reality through a CAD model and allow you easy design and application of the products. We're continuing to develop new products and new ways of building. The big thing that we're doing is licensing production. We have international production partners lined up around the world, which will allow us to scale this technology out very quickly, localizing production and distribution, and reducing the costs of transportation and embodied CO2 in our process. Here's some of the milestones we've reached to date. In 2020, the company was fully founded, and we had our IP applications in. We were able to get into some initial accelerator programs like Spark Nova Scotia, and our initial benchtop equipment was produced so we could make our first material samples, and it was absolutely amazing. We got a decent bit of friends and family investment, which allowed us to move forward. In spring 2021, we got our official public launch with our website and our social media, and we were able to get into Volta and Energia, which were absolutely amazing in helping our company grow and bringing more mentorship to the table. In summer 2021, we were able to do our first lab tests and validate the material in a lab setting. We were able to start building our scale-up prototype equipment, and we expanded our IP applications. We continued to bring in more investment, and I was able to hire on our first employees. We began to do more discovery calls with the customers and getting feedback from the market to ensure that we had a proper product market fit. At the end of 2021, on December 31st, just before the end of the year, we were able to produce our first minimum viable product. It was a little rough around the edges, but we were so excited as a team. It was a major milestone. And then we began working with IRAP, Spark, and many, many more groups. We are dialed in with so many different government institutions at this point. It's absolutely amazing. Early 2022, we opened up our seed round. We patented our links product for the landscape industry, which we identified as a perfect beachhead market for our material. We ended up securing LOIs and MOUs with both interested customers in the local market and international licensees. And we are so excited about these potentials. We launched the Links landscaping product in spring 2022, and we've raised, the number's a little bit higher now, we've raised over 400,000 through investments. We have many more LOIs piling in, and we've gone through the due diligence with all. We're now finalizing our proprietary production equipment and have filed IP for that as well. We've also more recently refined our mix down so that we have a beautiful looking mix that is indistinguishable to the eye from concrete, something that has been important from our customers. They like something familiar, but they want something that's better. Our material looks and feels like concrete, but it's 35% lighter and extremely impact resistant to a point that there's not even a comparison. One small tap with a hammer will crack the concrete. A 10-pound sledgehammer can't even break our bricks in half. We have had an absolute massive amount of support across many agencies and both nationally and internationally. We're working with companies like EcoTrain to bring in used cell phone cases and sustainably recycle them. We've been working with Dow on their energy bag program to be able to take in municipal waste. We have an agreement with Clean Farms and the Fishing Gear Coalition of Atlantic Canada to bring in over 400 tons of material next year for recycling. We have had the pleasure and privilege of being involved in many accelerators, such as Volta, Energia, and most recently, we were accepted into the Creative Destructive Labs in Toronto's MatterStream. We are continuing to grow our network, and we are so excited about the amount of support we've had moving forward. If you are interested, if you have waste materials that need to be dealt with sustainably, or you have a project that you need sustainable building materials for, please get in touch with us. We want to make our lakes, rivers, oceans, and beaches look like this again, folks. Now I'll open up for some Q&A. Join the sustainable revolution. We need to purchase our production equipment. We need to get our pilot facility set up. We need to continue development of new products. Let's put an end to the word garbage. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dustin. That was really informative. I think I'm going to be in touch because we have a lot of marine waste. I work at Port St. John, so this could be a great solution for us.
Absolutely.
If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I see we have one here already. So someone's wondering what happens to the building materials at the end of their building life.
Yeah, so this is something that's beautiful, is that our products can be deconstructed very easily, unlike traditional building materials. And we are offering a stewardship program through our production. So if you deconstruct a building that was built with PLAEX, if the products are damaged, you can send them back to us. If they're not, you can rebuild with them again. You can build a new structure again. These products have a very long lifespan, 100 years plus. And with that, you can take it apart and rebuild, take it apart and rebuild, or you can send it back to us. We can turn it into new products, and we'll give you a discount on future projects.
Sounds good. Another question here. So could there be perverse incentives for companies to produce more and more plastic if they think they can send them somewhere for reuse?
Well, I think there are some limitations to it. Now, as far as that, there is a huge push both nationally and internationally to reduce the amount of plastics. The truth of it is that many applications do not have a better solution. As much work as has been done on coming up with different types of biopolymers or more biodegradable options, I absolutely advocate for reducing plastic use in every area we can. But if we look at the data, and the data is what informs our decisions, from the OECD's report for 2060, even if we implement all of the single plastic use bans around the world, we're still going to be doubling plastic production by 2060, just to meet the demands of the products that there is no other viable option for. Plastic has reduced our wastage. Think about transporting everything in glass, or transporting everything in paper, or even biopolymers, which can begin to degrade over a certain period of time. Plastics allow us to extend the lifespan and reduce the transportation weights of many, many, many products, reducing wastage and increasing our efficiency. If we truly want to reduce our CO2 emissions, plastic is part of that solution, but we need to find sustainable solutions for the end of life for it. And building structures seems like the obvious solution. The issue with plastics in the environment is it lasts almost forever. Doesn't sound like a bad issue if you're building your structures out of it.
That's true. Another question here. Have you done freeze thaw testing for unprotected blocks below grade?
So we have ongoing testing going on with UMB right now through their offsite construction testing facility, and the freeze thaw is part of that. Our materials don't deal with the same water absorption issues, so we don't get the cracking and disintegration that you would get with a similar concrete material. That said, we're going through the validation process and doing this all correctly. The initial results have been phenomenal.
Awesome. Another question here. When do you expect to be CSA approved?
So our first approval process is through the NRC's product certification. We're hoping to be able to have that on our landscaping products early next year, and on our building products, hopefully by the end of the year next year or early 2024. And then we're hoping to have CSA certification by 2025. There's a bit of a lengthy process there, and our beachhead market is in landscaping, which allows us to start generating revenue and getting products out to customers right away. And then as we progress through that testing, we will be getting the full CSA certification. And we've been building that network. I've been in touch with some CSA writers, and we've been expanding the network. There is a huge demand for sustainable products. We have a high level of confidence on getting this certified for low-rise application.
Awesome. Do we have any more questions? Oh, here we go. Since CSA approval is pending, how does that affect warranty on builds?
So we're limited to the landscape applications, a large part, or non-occupied structures. So we are doing some demonstration projects around garages and other things like that. It limits our ability to build any sort of residential structures, and we would advise against any use in a residential application until we've gotten that certification. But for the landscape industry, the certifications for that are much lower, and we will have our product certification through NRC before products even begin rolling out the door next spring.
Awesome. I like this multi-phased approach.
You have to. Startup is
Yeah.
it's very high capex getting into manufacturing. So we've had to, how do we do this in phases, right?
Oh, you've been smart about it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
For organic vegetable garden surrounds, is there any plastic leaching to the ground?
Not that we have seen. Now we are going to be doing more robust testing around that. I will note that the majority of the plastics that we use are already approved for food applications. So we're using food packaging, feed bags, row cover, drip line, start trays, all materials that are already used to produce and package and grow your food already, or catch your food. Those are the materials that we're using. So all of those materials have already been approved. We do not use any PVC. We have a strict no PVC policy in our mix, and we're very careful to make sure we don't get certain contaminants in there that could pose leaching issues. So the primary materials that we're using are things like LDPE, HDPE, polypropylene, polyethylene, and some polystyrene. And these materials are very chemically stable.
Awesome. What percentage of plastic waste can you use is the next question.
That's a bit of a subjective question. It depends on what you include in plastics. So there are resins, there are polymers, so of thermal polymers, if we make that specific designation as thermal polymers, we're able to use about 70% versus traditional recycling, which you're looking at maybe 15% capacity or 20% capacity. So we're able to deal with a much larger swath of that material than any traditional currently existing recycling methods, other than maybe some pyrolysis techniques, which can take some more diverse waste streams. But even with those, once again, with the pyrolysis, you're still releasing polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Those materials typically end up going into fuels, which you're just going to burn, which produces a ton of carbon. We are embodying all of that carbon in our products by building with it. And this is a carbon store, and it's using these materials for a long-term purpose. Plastic is a long-term material. Let's use it for a long-term purpose.
Awesome. We have lots of questions coming in. This is great. So next one, can you stack 3 or 4 high at grade level without rebar for structural support?
Yes, so they interlock quite snugly, and as long as you are offsetting, so you do a proper crisscross lay with the structure, yes, they interlock together very nicely, and then they're designed to be able to be fastened down in multiple different methods. So one of the applications is for our landscape, you can simply drive rebar down into the ground to stake them in. You can also bolt them down to a traditional footing or pad, which is what we recommend for sheds or garages, is that you would have your pad, and we have an anchor system that we will go along with that. And as you can see with the holes in the bricks, you can simply bolt those down and they don't move. So it doesn't require any mortar or anything to keep them in place.
Awesome. Any other questions from our audience today? What kind of other products could be designed, i.e. eaves, troughs, shingles, etc.?
Yeah, so we're primarily looking at wall systems. One of the other products that we are seriously looking at right now is big blocks. The issue with the big blocks is it requires more equipment, heavier equipment, bigger equipment to be able to do that. So for the sake of startup costs, we're starting with smaller products. And then as we move forward, we'll be expanding into bigger applications. There are several different product streams which we have in sideline development, really contingent on market demands. The material that we have is quite versatile, and the production system that we've developed, so we have our own proprietary production hardware. It was quite a process to develop that, but through that proprietary production hardware, we're able to produce quite a wide range of products just by switching out the molds for it. So we've started out with these 2 basic products, but there will be further products coming down the line as market demand is there for them.
Great. All right, I'm just going to wait here for a second to see if any more questions roll in.
I will say we are at the very end of our seed round right now, so we're supposed to start setting up our pilot facility in the next week. And if anybody is interested or knows anybody with a keen interest, we are all ears and open to bringing on a couple more people before we get this going in full stream.
Okay, you mean investors or staff?
Yes, investors.
Investors, great. And whereabouts are you setting up your pilot facility?
In Dieppe. So we've got about just shy of 4,000 square foot facility with some yard space, and it's ready to go.
Okay. And for waste that you're collecting from different companies, do you guys provide transportation for that waste to get to Dieppe, or is that part of the cost to work?
Yeah, not at this point. So that's where we do have a costing structure involved with that. So
Okay.
we are looking at some logistics options. Very soon we will be expanding that, but we're not planning on doing our own collection until we can get our hands on some electric vehicles to reduce the carbon, embodied carbon on that. So we've been scoping out some options around that. There's some conversion companies, there's some other things. We've been kind of doing some cost benefit analysis on that. The cost of transportation has been something that's been a bit iffy. So this is where we are largely working with nonprofits and other groups like that are able to kind of offset some of the cost of production through government grants and bursaries. And as we're moving forward, really the answer is EPR programs across the board. So, we've had a lot of companies from Ontario reach out to us because the regulations have gone through there that they have to, right? If they don't want to pay exorbitant fees, then they have to find a company to send it to, and it is their responsibility to deal with it. So, and we're seeing that currently here in New Brunswick. It is legislation that is on the table. I have been in several discussions about it and advise, what do we need to do to get this there and make this work? So we're very involved in that and always engaging back and forth and dialogue on these things. The solution is that waste producers are responsible for their waste. Mm-hmm. And then we are offering a sustainable solution, and it's lower cost than your dumping fees. And that's really, at the end of the day, you have to dispose of it. Illegal dumping is illegal dumping, and there are criminal charges and fines for that. What we're trying to address is trying to save people money from what it would cost you if you're bringing it to your landfill. And, we're able to do that quite well.
Awesome. We have another question here. It looks like someone has a project coming up. How available are the bricks this fall before the ground freezes 110 feet long by 4 blocks high?
Unfortunately, there's a lead time to getting the pilot facility up and running. So orders are being placed for next spring. As it stands right now, we've got over 700,000 in pre-orders for next year. So next year's production is booking up very quickly. If you are interested in using our products next summer, I'd be surprised if you could get in the spring. The right person, if it's a direct sale, we might be able to squeeze 1 or 2 projects in the spring. We do have a lot of orders in place already, but you'd be looking at next summer more than likely. Our production is scheduled to start for February, March, and then we'll be in full swing for next spring and summer.
Great. All right. Any more questions from our audience? I don't see any rolling in. So thanks so much for taking the time today and sharing all this information with us. And thanks everyone for attending today's video. And today's video will be posted on our YouTube channel shortly. And if you want to get involved in becoming a board member or suggest ideas for lunch and learn topics, you can reach out to info@sustainablestjohn.ca. So thanks so much, Dustin. And I hope everyone has a great day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And definitely check out our website, check out some of the videos. This product is absolutely amazing, and we are changing the way the building industry is going forward.
Awesome. Everyone's just saying so thank you in the chat. So have a great day.
Cheers.